Welcome to the Living Out podcast, helping people, churches and society talk about faith and sexuality.
Well, hello and welcome to the Living Out podcast, and today the excitement of a New Year's special. We have in the past done Christmas specials, but because we like being different and we like changing things, we decided to go for a New Year special. And so a very warm welcome to 2026. I hope you're enjoying it so far, and I hope starting it with us, the Living Out team, will mean that it is a very happy New Year for you. I'm joined in the Zoom room by Ashley, Andrew and Andy, and I am going to start by asking them what has been the best New Year's celebration you've ever had? Let's start with Andy, because he's had loads of New Year's celebrations due to his age, and has done the most research. So we'll start with you, Andy.
Well, owing to my age, I've had lots of New Year's. Owing to my personality, I've had very few celebrations. So, to be honest, I can only remember one, which was the millennium. So I remember where I was when 1999 ticked around to 2000. I was on the Isle of Wight and with friends there, and I remember watching fireworks over the Solent. So that was quite a nice way to usher in the new millennium if you're not a purist about when the millennium started.
Which is, are you a purist? You probably are, aren't you?
Me? No. I mean, I'm sure Andrew would be, but that's the kind of thing I don't really care about. So
when else would it start? What? I'm totally lost already.
Oh, there's a big. We could. This is a rabbit hole. We could lose ourselves here. I'm going to pause it there before we go there and say first, Andrew Bunt. What's the most memorable New Year's celebration you've had?
Yeah, I feel like I'm really hoping you and Ashley can make things better. I don't have any great answers. I just like small context, few close friends. I'm very easily pleased. Don't like a big party. So my best New Year's celebrations would just have been lovely, quiet evenings with a small group of friends. Probably watching Graham Norton, another bit of Graham Norton. A nice picky tea, as I say, up north. So we used to do up north when I was up there. Around kind of 11:30, lots of food, late night eating. I do like. That's one thing I like about New Year's Eve. And yeah, just kind of chatting or watching something. Quite laid back, easily pleased.
Brilliant, Ashley. What about you?
Yeah, similar. It's a toss-up between either a New Year's where I was with just two of my friends. Again, I've done like big things and gone to London to see the fireworks and stuff, but this was better. A couple of friends, very chilled evening. Maybe played a game or two. Started watching this new show called The Traitors that everybody was obsessed with. So it's either that or it's... I think I was about 17 and I couldn't be bothered and I went to bed, as did the entire rest of my household. And we were awoken at midnight by one of my friends calling me to wish me a Happy New Year on the landline. But that was great. I had a good sleep. So started the new year fresh. We're exciting people here at Living Out.
I know there are lots of people who are listening to this, perhaps recovering from their late night the night before on 2020, and they're going to be thinking these guys are as boring as they ever thought they were. My favourite memory after New Year is, and this is very middle class, we were listening to, as you do, BBC Radio 3 to wait for Big Ben to strike. And then we were standing, this was when my family lived in London, we were basically all standing around. We could hear all the fireworks go off. But BBC Radio 3 had yet to go to Big Ben and declare it to be a new year. So I was going, no, nobody's celebrating. It hasn't gone yet. And then this apologetic voice came over saying, I'm very sorry, we lost the link to Big Ben. It is now. And it was basically 5 minutes late.
Wow. Someone got fired that night, didn't they? Gosh.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody lost their job. But we did laugh a lot when we discovered how stupid we had been. I've also actually had plenty of really fun New Year's in various European cities with the two friends that I will be away with when most people listen to this podcast, if that makes sense. So there we are. Great. Well, thank you very much for that introduction to the exciting lives of the Living Out team. Okay, well, We're going to take a slightly different approach to this podcast. I have been given a whole list of questions that have been prepared in advance. I think with quite a bit of input from a member of the team who's not here and who clearly thinks we aren't open and honest enough about ourselves and our lives, which is a pretty remarkable thing to say of the Living Out team. But we have got a whole series of what I'm told are quick fire questions to get to know the Living Out team sort of better. So we're going to look back at the last year. We're going to look forward to the next year. You're going to get to know us better. We are going to share both poignant moments and fun moments from the last year and anticipating 2026 as well. And I'm going to start with this question. I mean, all I just want to say fingers on the buzzer. It's not a quiz show, is it? It's quiz. It's quick fire. But that sort of feeling, please, when it comes to responding to this first question. Well, first of all, could you share a moment in 2025 that you're grateful for? Ashley, any moments from 2025 that you're grateful for?
This is not going to be quick, Ed. Yes, many. I will go with my sabbatical. So I had a sabbatical in September, which I know is not a moment. I'm cheating with the answer. It was a whole month. But just a really good time to rest. I went to Spain. I was alone for a month. And as a raging introvert, that was glorious. I read a lot of things. I wrote a lot of things. And I enjoyed the sunshine. And I practiced my Spanish. So very grateful for that time.
Brilliant. Andrew?
Mine is a number of moments, but all of which centre on the same thing. It's just been lovely travelling the country to meet lots of people who have said they've done or used Kaleidoscope, our video series we launched last year, which for me and Ashley particularly was just a huge part of our 2024 went into. And it's been lovely in 2025 to meet people who've used that, benefited from it, both for the young people and youth leaders as well. And it's just been kind of a real encouragement. And so it's been a nice repeated moment. Even just last week, met a student who had done it the year before as a teenager at her college sixth form, met a youth leader at a church in the city I was in who had recently done it with their youth group, and just really encouraging multiple moments across the year.
Oh, and some product placement too. Very, very good.
Might not be the last one in the episode.
We like this. Okay, what about you, Andy? A moment in 2025 that you're grateful for?
Yeah, mine is slightly more humorous. So Manchester United, that's a football team for your guys' benefit. They reached the Europa League final, which hasn't happened much for Manchester United recently. Tragically, I was speaking on sexuality the same evening at an event, and if I'm honest, I was fuming about this. And the reason I'm grateful is apparently United lost, and apparently it was an awful match, and so I was grateful that I missed it in order to speak about sexuality to the good people of Coventry.
I was grateful I missed that moment too.
But it tells you a lot about something when the best moment comes out of the suffering of other people. Let's move on pretty quickly. I mean, if anybody's interested in mine, I had a fantastic time in Berlin with some of my family earlier this year, and that brought very happy memories from 2025. Okay, what about a habit or practice that you've done in the last year that has helped you? A habit or practice you've done in the last year that's helped you? My chance to talk about swimming in the sea, isn't it, really? Because that's something that I do once or twice a year. I did it again this year, continuing to enjoy it, although restricting it to one particular beach in one particular month of the year. If you want to find out more about that, you need to get hold of my book, The Intimacy Deficit, just to show that that Andrew Bunn's not the only one that does product placement. Andrew Bunn, a habit or practice that you've done the last year that's helped you?
Well, this has been a significant year for me. I have, for the first time in my life, got into good sleeping patterns. I've always slept badly, being a major night owl, really struggled in the mornings, and just, struggled a lot of my life to have good, healthy sleep. And somehow this year I've cracked it, and particularly what I'm very disciplined about is getting up consistently at around about the same time or within an hour window in the morning. Even when I've been on holiday, I've done the same. And it really has been quite radical how it's helped my sleep and how just in general in life I feel much less tired because I'm getting consistent good sleep. And it really has felt like a bit of a lifelong, thus far, battle sleep. So it's just been a habit I'm very glad I've managed to cultivate and persevere in. And we'll be taking it into this coming year. And I hope it continues to be a blessing to me.
Brilliant. Andy Robinson, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think various habits I could have done with introducing this year, but probably the big one for me was first time for years had a sort of 3-week block away in the summer. which was great. Spent actually, funnily enough, a couple of weeks in the end up at the Keswick Convention. A week where I stayed with a group of friends, which I just loved catching up with them. Ages since I've managed to find friends who've tolerated my presence for a week. And actually, it was just one of those times away where by the end I was genuinely refreshed. And often I've done sort of 1 week, week and a half holidays, but very grateful for 3 weeks away and feeling refreshed by the end. So that was good for me.
Okay, so we've got swimming in the sea, we've got proper sleep, we've got proper rest. What have you got for us, Ashley?
Other people, which is a surprise to me and possibly everybody else. Just learning so much more this year about how present Jesus is in his people. And I keep finding myself seeking out people, like other Christians, in order to meet with Jesus with them, and doing that far more often than I used to. Like, my standard is to get away from other people in order to meet with Jesus. But yeah, he's been teaching me so much about that this year. So that practice of gathering with other Christians, I've really enjoyed this year.
Give us an example of how you've done that.
Oof. I'll give you a few. Let's go with, I've got a prayer triplet now, which is a phrase that younger me would have cringed at completely. And actually, currently, I still do cringe a little. But we get together every couple of weeks and just chat and pray. And it's so straightforward and so simple and so profound, like the things that we can share with each other. So yeah, though I struggle with the language, would recommend things like a prayer triplet for those who are listening.
Brilliant, fantastic. Okay, let's go to the next question. And this is, I'm loving these questions. I'm finding things out. This is excellent. Someone who's inspired you this year, this last year. Who inspired you in 2025? Ashley, kick us off on this.
Oh, okay. A woman called Megan Phelps Roper. She's written a book called Unfollow, and she has done a podcast series called The Witch Trials of J.K. Rowling. Both are excellent. She grew up in the Westboro Baptist Church, and her book Unfollow is like the story of her growing up in that church and how she left and why she left and what that was like. And I listened to it while I was ill in a single day, the audiobook. Just inspired by her compassion and her nuance and the honest self-reflection that she does. Like, you kind of would expect someone who's had that kind of upbringing to be very stark and black and white, but she's just so thoughtful and careful. There's these calls to all of us to engage in better dialogue. She absolutely insists on humanizing every person that she refers to. So she'll mention various people who, from the media, we kind of demonize from the Westboro Baptist Church, but they're her family members, and she'll talk about them as family members and as complex people with good and bad. And I found that actually really inspiring and really profound way of looking at the world. This really stuck with me. So that's Megan Phelps Roper this year.
Have you? That sounds like. Why have we got a book review on the Living Out website?
we haven't, but we can get one, can't we, Ed?
And what's the book called again?
The book is Unfollow.
Unfollow. Brilliant, thank you. And that podcast series that she does on Bat J.K. Rowling, I've listened to. Absolutely fantastic. Really worth listening to as well. Andy, who inspired you in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, this is slightly cheesy in some ways, but not so much one individual, but actually genuinely inspired by lots of the people I've ended up meeting, just doing Living Out events actually. So often we'll speak, and then all of us will have the experience of talking to different people afterwards, and whether it's people who experience same-sex attraction, maybe haven't been very public about it, but sort of sidle up to say this is my story as well, or often actually parents wanting to love gay children well and trying to wrestle with what that means when they're making life decisions different from the ones they would have chosen. I'm just so genuinely sorry. I know it's unusually nice and pleasant for me, this answer, but actually genuinely inspired by the various conversations I've had at Living Out events. And you always end up frustrated that those conversations are shorter than you want them to be, but genuinely inspired by a variety of people I've met around the country.
Andrew?
I picked a friend of mine I spent some time with recently. It's one of those friendships we don't get to see each other an awful lot. We have a bit of contact every now and then. It's a guy who's quite a few decades older than me. He's same-sex attracted, but married to a woman. And just kind of one of those examples of an older man you think, I want to grow up to be like you, and was really reflecting that after spending some time with him recently, just as someone who loves Jesus, loves people, has been really faithful in following Jesus, even through lots of ups and downs, it seems like, both for him personally, partly, I guess, in regards to sexuality, but lots of other stuff as well. Every time I see him, he asks what he can be praying for me and stuff like that. And just one of those people, as I say, I think, no, I want to grow up to be an older man like him. And so, he has definitely been inspiring me, and to think about what's it like to now seek to be kind of growing in such a way and cultivating my life in such a way, such that when I get to that stage in life, I might be like that.
I've been inspired this year, as you guys know, by a friend who died of cancer back in July, and just seeing her keep trusting in Jesus through the suffering of the cancer, and saying goodbye to her husband and young kids and family and friends. And then actually her husband too. He's inspired by him standing up to talk of God's goodness at her funeral in the midst of his grief. So those are two people that have massively inspired me over the last year.
You're listening to the Living Out podcast, helping people, churches and society talk about faith and sexuality. For more stories, resources and events, visit our website at livingout.org.
I say these are very good questions. I'm quite enjoying that. Part of me wants to recommend that, anybody that's sitting around listening to this with a whole group of relatives or friends in some house somewhere and is thinking, how do we get good conversations going? They should use these questions. They're excellent. The next one is this: a book, film, or song that shaped your thinking. And I love the range there. It'd be interesting to see who goes for which from the Living Out team. A book, film, or song that has inspired Andy Robinson. It's not going to be a song, is it? What is it?
Well spotted. Nor a film. Oh, I hate what I'm about to do. The book that's most impacted me this year is The Intimacy Deficit, which I'm just finding agonising in saying, but it is genuinely true, and I haven't been put up to this or paid to do it, or I think have an annual review coming up that's maybe forced. I think genuinely, actually, that's been the book that's most helped me to reflect on life and potentially ways in which to change life, and it probably is The Intimacy Deficit, actually.
This is going to be really difficult, isn't it? Because I know that's you. You've stolen Andrew and Ashley's answer as well. So, I mean, this is embarrassing. Andrew, apart from The Intimacy Deficit, what's shaped your thinking this year?
Well, generally it was on the list. I don't feel quite as pained as Andy's saying it, but it is true. I don't want to sound so lame that we're all sucking up to it, but it is true. As I openly admit, I don't read a lot of books, so partly it's a numbers game with me as well. So, two other things I did think of. I've listened last year, this year, it's quite a lot of sermons from John Piper, a series where he goes through Hebrews, which goes for a long time, but really good, and a series through Romans, and the stuff in Hebrews and Romans has been great, but actually it's just, I think, shaped me a lot in terms of my understanding of what it means to preach well and to pastor well, and just kind of actually a kind of unexpected real benefit just of engaging with that. But also I've only read the first of 4 volumes of Christopher Ash's Psalms commentary. Psalms, a Christ-central commentary. I found it really helpful of actually opened my eyes, to a different, but I think he's convinced me, legitimate way of reading the Psalms in a very Christ-centered way. And although I haven't yet got to reading the commentary proper, it's already actually shaped and impacted a bit of how I'm reading the Psalms and the Old Testament more broadly, and opened my eyes a bit to more some historic perspectives on reading the text in a Christ-centered way. And really enjoyed that, and want to find the time and discipline myself actually now to work through the commentary to see him kind of apply that, kind of in faith that I can actually encounter Christ in the Psalms as I do that.
Brilliant. Okay, Ashley, Taylor Swift, is she going to feature?
She's not, which we will all be very glad to hear. I love Taylor Swift, but I feel her songs should probably not shape my thinking. No, I've gone for books as well. Gone for fiction, as is in character. I reread all the Narnia series over the summer, so I'm going to pick out number 3, The Horse and His Boy, and number 7, The Last Battle, in particular. Ed is nodding and looking pleased. C.S. Lewis has generally in life had a huge impact on me through his non-fiction as well as his fiction, but stuff from these 2 books has just stuck with me since I read them as a child. And even now, how old am I? 34? And it still hits me afresh every time I read it. So from The Horse and His Boy, the way that Aslan is portrayed in that book. If you don't know this book, Aslan is a representation of Jesus. You should definitely read it. It's great. Yeah, the way Aslan in this one, he's more of this consistently recurring presence. There's one character who kind of phrases it, he's at the back of all the stories. And just the way that comes through in this book, I feel like Lewis has captured some really profound things about the character of God, and they stay with me. And then the last battle, the last couple of chapters, I will cry every time. It's this depiction of the new creation as the home that we have always been longing for, but without knowing it. So those two books in particular, but the series as a whole, definitely shaped my thinking.
Well, I've just been reminded, actually, weirdly, how an author has shaped my thinking more than I thought. And that is Wendell Berry. I can't remember the last time, if I've ever mentioned Wendell Berry, my love of Wendell Berry on this podcast. But his poetry and his non-fiction writing, his opinion pieces, but I think most of all, his short story and novels have deeply affected me. And it turns out we've been looking at reading. We started reading them as a staff team at Emmanuel Bristol, and Pray Without Ceasing is a short story he wrote a number of years ago, and we were discussing it as a staff team, and I suddenly realised how much it has shaped my approach to life and ministry and pastoral practice. And Wendell Berry has had a deep influence on me, and continues to. And this is just an opportunity to talk about him and say you should read him if you haven't. Okay, a challenge you overcame in 2025, or something brave that you did is the next question. A challenge or an act of bravery. And this is a chance to be really modest, isn't it? I was very brave in this way. But who's winning to get us going? Andrew.
I have an answer on this. I went to Centre Parks and went on all the water slides, which is a lot braver than it sounds, because I only learned to swim last year, and that was a big thing for me. It was actually a kind of a not being able to swim was one of the examples of me having been a very nervous, underconfident child who didn't overcome things that scared him, and always being one of those kind of things that I felt a bit, I guess, pathetic because I hadn't done all that kind of stuff. And so learning to swim was a big deal for me. A friend kind of taught me when we were on holiday, and I quite enjoyed it, and then was quite good about practicing and stuff. And we went to Centre Parks, and because I was a scared child, I would never go on anything like a water slide. And so I was determined to do them all, and I was the only one of our group of 6 who went on this holiday who went on all of the water slides, and was quite proud of myself for that. There's one I don't think I'd ever go on again. It was deeply unpleasant, but I'm glad I did it. And I was like, no, it was like a significant, deliberate step of I'm stepping into being the adult I am, and almost in it, almost through it, giving thanks to God that He's helping me to do that, actually, and overcome, I think, slowly some of my childhood insecurities. So it was a small thing in the big picture, but a big thing to me.
Brilliant, Andrew. Thanks for sharing that, Andy.
I mean, I think I've just done it. I've just been really kind publicly to Ed, which felt quite hard work. I mean, I think in truth, sorry to those listening, we're not actually recording this live on New Year's Day. Sorry about that. We have ahead of us a sort of, we're getting together for various things before Christmas, and I think the evening features having to go to a film with some kind of musical theme where people are just going to start singing randomly and so on. And I'm terrified by this. And if I actually get to the end of that in one piece, that will be the bravest thing I've done for quite a long time.
Wow.
We look forward to updating listeners on a sort of podcast later on in 2026 as to whether Andy made it all the way through, how brave he really is. Ashley, what about you?
I'm going to talk about my sabbatical again. So this was a solo overseas trip, of which I think I've only done one before, but this was for an entire month with a language I don't actually know particularly well, though I do my best. So that felt very big and very scary to go to Spain for a month by myself. But I did it, and it was good, and I would do it again.
Brilliant. I can't think of anything brave I've done. I mean, that's my problem. I've just spent ages on this one, or challenges I overcame. But do you know what I mean? I struggled on this one to think of one particular thing.
I mean, you've led the Living Out team for an entire
You
year.
have.
Again,
Yeah,
Ed. That's pretty brave.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I'll take that. We'll move on. Okay, one word. Oh, this is a challenge, isn't it, for us? I mean, come on. Which of us would choose to use one word when a number of others could do. So I'm gonna sort of say this has to be one word to describe your faith journey in 2025. Can I say next year we'll get the person that actually writes these questions to appear on the podcast herself? But for now, one word that describes your faith journey in 2025, Andy.
Gracious, by which I mean God, not me.
Oh, please! I mean, that was an and an R, gracious, and then there was some words that to account for it. I mean, that's not one word, is it, Andy?
You're using quite a lot of words now, so.
Oh, whoa! The gloves are coming up. Gracious is what Andy learned, and what is what I'm not being. Okay, thank you, Andrew. One word.
Maturing.
Ooh, very good. Ashley.
Chilled.
Excellent. I'm going to go for tough.
Yeah.
So there we are. Thank you, guys. We all want to now find out more, but we can't because we said just one word. But we'll move on. Something that surprised you about yourself this year. And I think I'm going to lead off on this one because I did, we've probably all done the Myers-Briggs and similar sort of tests and things. And I think I've discovered this year, or last year, getting very confusing now, that I'm more of an extrovert than I ever thought.
Ooh.
And this is something that actually I did think about a little bit I did discover a little bit through being locked in a library trying to write The Intimacy Deficit. But I think I've discovered it more and more is that I am a little bit more, in fact, quite a bit more of an extrovert than I thought. And I do need people a lot more than I've ever thought. And that has been a discovery that God has been sort of helping me discover, but really has hit me in a good way, in a nice way, in 2025. Ashley, what about you, my introverted friend?
Indeed. I actually don't have an answer for this one. I'm not allowed to elaborate on my previous answer, but I haven't actually done a ton of self-discovery this year in a very nice way. There's just been no major drama or huge epiphanies that have upended my life, so I haven't been particularly surprised by myself in a nice, I do know myself quite well kind of way.
Good, and that would be encouraging for others listening in who are thinking how they answer the question and come up with a very similar answer. Andrew, you've been umming there. Is that because it's the same for you?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't have a good answer. I'm genuinely surprised I've sorted out my sleep. That's a surprise to me. There was a point earlier in my counselling earlier in the year when I realised a fresh layer of insecurities. I was like, wow, I'm surprised as I was 33 at the time, and I've only just realised this, which is a slightly more depressing one. But also the grace of God, and He doesn't give us all our mess at once sometimes. He gives us time to slowly work through them. So I do continue to be a surprise to myself, sometimes in encouraging ways, sometimes in less encouraging ways.
Brilliant. And Andy?
I'm been surprised quite how much I hate answering reflective questions on a New Year's podcast, but
I'm not surprised by that at all.
Surprise?
No, it's
He really doesn't know himself, does he?
No, I mean, I think I think I'd answer that in a very similar way to Ashley. Actually, I think once you've had as many years as I've had, in a sense, you don't get totally surprised by your own personality very much, but probably in a sense learning to live with that a little bit in terms of the ways I'd love to grow as a Christian and so on. But the basic sort of pattern of strengths and weaknesses you just learn to live with and accept. That's part of the way the Lord has made you, and He knew what He was doing. And so more it's been a content with, okay, the Lord has given me these strengths. These are weaknesses which I suspect I will always wrestle with, and a degree of contentment in that.
Thanks, Andy. Right, okay, this is the big one, isn't it? What hope or goal for 2026? And this isn't necessarily a New Year's resolution that you have to share with everybody, but a hope or goal that you are willing to share with everybody for 2026. Oh, I've forgotten we're going to go to Andy again.
Yeah, I mean, I would love a deeper sense of walking with the Lord. So I know that's a sort of a more serious answer than any others I've given today, but yeah, probably as I look back on the last year, there's been slightly too much doing stuff without actually functionally being as dependent on the Lord as I want to be. And so, yeah, I'd love a deeper prayer life and working towards that in the year ahead.
Thanks, Andy. And anything you're particularly hoping to do to make that happen, or sort of, yeah, or is it too early on? Too early on? To
Yeah,
ask
no,
that
I mean,
question?
I think I'm trying to work through different work patterns in the new year, which might involve doing slightly less in some spheres. But yeah, and I think actually deliberately with the intention of reading more, praying more, spending more time with the Lord, which actually when I mentioned the intimacy deficit had got me reflecting on life, that was the thing that I'd reflected on was probably if I'm honest, slightly trying to do too much and not spending enough time with the Lord actually. So yeah.
Right, and this is setting up some nice accountability conversations, isn't it, during the course of the year? You've heard Andy Robinson say that on the podcast at the beginning. If you see Andy Robinson during the course of the year, you can ask how that's going. I'm now picking this question up into a much more significant thing than intended, but it may help us. Andrew, what about you? One hope or goal for 2026?
I'm hoping that people will be blessed with my new book coming out June 2026.
I can't believe we lasted this long.
Well, but this is a scoop. I think this is the first time publicly I've talked about this. So, listeners, you are getting an exclusive announcement of the fact that coming in June 2026 is Getting God's Perspective, a short Christian introduction. So I'm laughing because the faces of my dear encouraging colleagues on the screen. A short Christian introduction to worldviews, sexuality and gender. Which I generally, books, you work on them for years. I've been working on this book for at least 2 years. Another 6 months till it comes out. And you do generally think, I really hope this still hits the mark. I hope this is a blessing to people. My hope in this book is that people can think deeper than sexuality and gender, to think about worldviews, which often I think is the reason we struggle with what the Bible says. We struggle to communicate it to other people. And so for all of the, yes, I'm doing a shameless plug, I do genuinely hope that God can use the book and be fruitful, that it will bless many of us. It will help us connect to our non-Christian friends maybe as well. And that the Lord in his goodness might choose to bring a little bit of good and glory to his name through it. So hopefully that might happen.
That's setting up accountability in a different way, isn't it? So we've got to ask Andy about his prayer life. If we're going to allow Andrew to sort of have that hope realised, it's going to be you, dear listeners, actually buying the book and reading it. I see what we're doing here. Ashley, what about you? A hope or goal?
Mine also related to books. I write like fantasy and science fiction novels. I don't publish them, I just do it for fun. And I have been working on one for 2 years and another for 8 or 9, and I just want to finish them. So I'm hoping, as Andy's mentioned, we're recording this a little before the end of 2025. I'm hoping that one will be done by the end of 2025. That's currently the goal. So my hope for 2026 is to finish the other one. By God's grace alone, this will happen.
Great. And I think I just want to practice what I preach. That's my biggest prayer. And if anybody prays for me, pray that I practice what I preach, whether that's in what I write or what I say. I just think a massive need for me is to actually do what I tell other people to do, practice what I preach. Oh, guys, thank you so much for being part of this New Year's special. And dear listeners, wherever you are, why don't you take and use one of those questions, some of those questions to get to know some of your friends better. I've certainly got to know some of my friends better. We've had a bit of fun, but also shared some slightly deeper things too. And what's one of the great things about friendship, isn't it? You get the chance to ask questions, share deep things, make each other laugh. And I hope listening in, you've been encouraged by hearing our friendships in action, but also pray that these questions might be a catalyst for some of your friendships in action too. We've mentioned a whole range of exciting resources. There will be links in the show notes, and perhaps we'll put those questions in the show notes too, so they're nice and accessible. But for now, thank you very much for listening. We've massively enjoyed your company in 2025. We're looking forward to enjoying your company in 2026. And if you do enjoy this podcast, as ever, do please recommend it, pass it on. Why not even now go to WhatsApp and share a link with this episode with somebody else you think might benefit from being part of the Living Out podcast. Happy New Year.